Thank you.
Say for your time, your
Thank
energy.
you. Thank you.
Now, the most important thing, we have, let's say, 15 minutes for Q&A questions. So if anyone would like to ask questions to our dearest friend, thank you once more. Dimitrios, do you want to go deeper on convergent innovation?
1,000%. As in, you want me to go, as in go deeper on the conversion?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Right. I think, do I want to do it? 100%, 1,000%. So, τι σημαίνει convergent innovation? Υπάρχουν, όταν λέμε τη λέξη innovation, έχει 5-6 διαφορετικές different categories of innovation, right? So, τι σημαίνει? Υπάρχουν 5-6 διαφορετικές. Open innovation, όταν κάνουμε drive open source innovation, is one form of innovation of ecosystem development, right? Another form of innovation is business model innovation, right? Another form of innovation is transformative innovation. Another form of innovation is convergent, cross-disciplinary innovation. And it has been proven that the most successful form of innovation is the hard one, which is cross-disciplinary innovation, when we get smart people together from various different disciplines and try and solve real problems. Είναι δύσκολο, but it's the most needed right now to execute. And it's something that I'd like to see more and more of in this part of the world here, because I see too many organizations operating in silos. Even our young scale-up companies in software still operate in silos. And it's a big problem for me. Again, one of my missions right now is to try and fix that problem through executive leadership support and execution, and thinking about how we reorganize our organizations. But from a local point of view here, I'm sure that there are amazing deep dive experts in certain areas around material science and product design and megatronics and robotics and engineering. People need to come together and solve problems that are bloody hard and very difficult to execute, but it's the only form of everlasting transformation that needs to happen, right? This is nothing new. This is not rocket science. It's been happening for decades in other parts of the world. It just needs to happen here.
Well, I guess we've got some key takeaways. One key takeaway that we should take home. If you want to go global, not to stay local, because there's many SMEs, in Greece, we don't need more SMEs, okay? Let's be healthy, of course, it's sustainable, I'm not against that. But if you want to go global, you know what, Nikos, and I believe strongly, complex problems, they cannot be solved with a single discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go next door is my friend engineer, try to find an architect,
exactly.
Try to find a designer. And that's how you will go to the next phase, and you will do, because Apple at the end of the day was what? Was design. Okay, everything exists before. So questions from you, anybody else? Because I have plenty of questions. Okay.
How are you, Sotiri? Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Makute? Sorry. Oh, there we go. Oh my God. That's what I thought. I couldn't hear myself. Can we isn't it? Okay. No, I live in crisis. That's okay.
So let's say that in circular economy, are we for any kind of technology or method or process that is in a sense green, or is the circularity most important?
What do you mean by green?
Let's say.
You mean sustainable?
Let's say that for us to use and use services like bicycles or whatever in the city.
Yep.
We have to, for example, have a city that can accommodate that.
Yep.
Or we have to have a security or safety system that when we don't lose our bikes or they don't get stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they do, we are losing a tool for the sustainability. So in a sense, using the technology that would make cities safer, it would be a circular
Yep.
kind of.
Yep.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's a good example to look at that. My God, Oh my God, there's a microphone. I thought I knew I wasn't on a microphone. Give it to you, Pate. Like you didn't say anything, right? So, ima como estou Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. Few years ago, I'm at the big e-bike sharing economy craze for the Kinesi just produced, I don't know, who knows, 1 billion, 2 billion bikes. It's not making it better, but that we're going to have sharing bikes on demand wherever we want. What happened in practicality? No, they were basically people were throwing and dumping bikes anywhere they can be, right? And it was so sad to see, right? So this was so unsustainable from a materials point of view, yet it's an amazing phenomenon from the way the Chinese industrialist complex operates. It's 100% waste, but they've produced and sold it and it's kicked the can down the road in some way, right? Now, are there companies that are trying to reimagine that? Yes, there are. There's a company called Van Moof out of Amsterdam, I believe, that is now shifting to as a service offering and are building and are doing cross-disciplinary innovation in the e-bike, right? There's smarts in the accelerometer and all these ways. I'm not an expert in this, but they can actually detect when somebody's had a fall or the bike is not where it's meant to be, and it triggers a certain lockdown of the bike in some way, right?
Cities in Europe right now are using, asking from companies to provide them e-bikes for a much lesser price, so they can reduce them for communities.
Yep.
And cities are going to pay at some point with European money, but the issue is when the money stops, what's going to be,
well, the money, it should be, so this is the point. The point is we should not be dependent on governments to drive this change. I'm 100% believer. I believe business is the leading catalyst to positive change and the fastest, right? Business drives change. Positive, unfortunately, for the many years and many decades, has been negative. Depends which way you look at it, right? Financialization of assets and so forth, right? Negative environmental and social impact, which we haven't been measuring, right? There's a whole lot of discussion around ESG and reporting and what's going on there, right? And their mission and why they exist needs to be front and center. I believe as well that we expect consumers to change their behaviors, right? It's a big flaw because we should not change our behaviors. The invisible systems that actually have got us to this point are the ones that need to change, not consumers, right? Okay, fair enough. When I go, one thing I do in Greece now when I come is I say to every cafe operator, listen, is that a plastic straw? I don't want a plastic straw. You're going to give me another type of straw. Now, I have my coffees really quickly, but the problem here in Greece is you guys take 4 hours to have your coffee and the straw, then because it's made out of whatever it's made out of, right? So I don't know how coffee owners make money here, but that's another discussion. Anyway, yeah.
So since doing a beer,
Oh.
so you will have a tough question now.
No, all questions are good.
Yes. Go ahead.
Now, there's the shift from industrialists over service and started out of people. And in order to shift from linear business model to have a transition to more circular business model, what can the government and the whole policy framework do? Is it more to provide more incentives, or maybe to create a stick and provide on the side of the market?
So, oh my God, that's like a $1 trillion question, right? I would say in Europe, I mean, just in terms of a global context, Europe is leading the pack on this, right? That's the first thing, right? So there are leading indicators and policies and frameworks already being driven. Having said that, it's mostly Northern Europe than Southern Europe, right? To get specific. There are requirements, in my view, to probably incentivize. So in this shift that is required towards this new economic and social frontier that we require to partner with the planet, we have to deploy as fast as possible what I call the new rails infrastructure, right? The new infrastructure to enable us to be able to deploy and design products in a circular and sustainable way in a local environment for cities and cities around the world, right? So one opportunity that exists for me is to really incentivize this infrastructure with the right financial instruments to execute at scale this rollout. The technologies are there, guys. The technologies are there. Maybe the unit economics are there, but that's probably a 10 to 20 year horizon change, right? That's required. So this is the reality, right? And it's not going to happen in 5 years. This is the reality. Reality is that I see success with Circulus beyond my lifetime. Doko kani accept, right? It's going to take 2 to 3 generations of change to get to a world where we can actually drive this. And so to go back to your sort of specifics on sort of policies and stuff, it's really, like, you know, I think we all know this. We need to basically commit to long-term commitments and multi-decade cycles of investment and transformation than being, unfortunately, 4-year driven, right? And politically driven in that sense, which is the unfortunate truth. So,
any questions about circularity before I move on to some other things? So, yes.
IKEA,
yeah.
announced recently that they're not going to sell any more furniture.
Really?
They will, at least
Yeah, no, man.
for 50 years, they will circulate. So what's your comment?
So this is a great, yeah, okay. So they're for me, this is live to the world, right? Okay. IKEA in Minneapolis is playing the green lipstick on the card right now, right? And what I mean by that is they have the problem of innovators' dilemma, right? In a basic problem, they operate at scale, large points of presence, the labyrinths in their stores that drive us to basically get more things that we need. Because they've been packed so nicely, we get frustrated to put them together. We even hire people to put things together, and we just throw them away when we don't need them, right? It's a very disposable economy way of operating as a brand. This, because I think for them to shift out of that whole way of operating is probably a lot bigger than IKEA can actually operate, execute. And I've got to watch what I say, but I think they're one of the transformers that could possibly has the potential to reimagine what they could become, or they're going to die. Like, you know, companies come and go, and there's no guarantee that IKEA will exist in 25 years or 50 years time, in my view, right? Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you.
I want to refer to the 3 levels you mentioned, forwards communication of climate crisis.
Yes.
You mentioned electrify everything, decarbonize everything, and dematerialize everything. I have a question about the word dematerialize. The way put, it carries a negative connotation. It refers to fossil resources, I would say. Because your presentation was mostly focused on reuse of materials or repurposing of materials. But materials do not necessarily have to be bad if they're bio-based materials or bio-converted materials. Are bio-based resources part of your manifesto as an organization, or are you not looking at this out?
So the answer is very simple. The scope of our focus and mission, we can't do everything in the world. We're going to focus on smart connected devices and appliances that are poorly designed in our view, and are creating too much e-waste in the world, and not biofuels or biomass in general from that perspective. So it is a big term, dematerialization, but the way that we're focusing on it is around tackling e-waste. Yeah.
One question, and then I have 10 more myself.
I can feel a butt coming. No?
My question is that biggest quantity of waste are the electronics.
The highest growth right now in terms of waste is e-waste. Yeah.
What about the organic, which are recycled?
What do you mean by that? Pure organic. Sun.
Focus,
Sun πια. Ένα παράδειγμα. Ναι.
είναι η
Πες το στα ελληνικά. Ναι. Και κάποιος να το κάνει translate, άμα το καταλαβαίνει. Ποιο? Right, okay. Right. Thin film. Okay. That's a great question. I can't have all the answers, right? But mafto, is that what he was saying? Like, is that like thin film is one example of organic?
Yes, that's what he said.
Organic. Πώς είναι organic αυτό το material in terms of e-waste? Δεν είναι e-waste για μένα αυτό.
Τελούνται από οργανικές ενώσεις.
Ναι. Right. Can you translate it? Who's going to translate?
This in the next session.
Okay.
No.
Right.
Okay. Now, because we have to finalize. Now, we finish with the circulist part. Here we have some people that they are founders of startups.
Right.
So if you can tell us 2 tips or 3 tips maximum of 2 to 3 tips of new founders.
Yep.
That you would say from your experience. So that's one. And the second one to prepare you. Also, we have here some early stage investors, business angels. So as a business angel also, what will be your 3 key takeaways for one and the second one so we can take home?
Okay.
And
so
then we can make offer, if you answer well, then we may offer you dinner. Okay.
So μπορώ δουλεύει αυτό. So, okay. So το πρώτο είναι with the startup founders, right?
Because in the last, this didn't work, you can have 2.
Θα γίνει feedback loop, I don't know. Is it okay with this?
That's okay.
It's okay.
Doesn't work that way.
All right. So για τους founders, το πρώτο μάθημα είναι να ενωθείτε να γίνετε ομάδα, όχι μόνος σου. I don't invest in single founders anymore because there's not enough opportunity to drive influence, right? Και πρώτα απ' όλα, if you're a single founder, every day is schizophrenic. Every 1 hour, it's a positive thing that's happened. The next hour, the world's ending, right? The next hour, amazing, something really good's happened. The next hour, we've released a new product version. Και ένα από το μεγαλύτερο learnings for me for startup founders is to partner with a team and be fair and equitable in terms of your distribution of equity. Drop the ego, be humble, and focus on execution. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you are considering and looking at your business, don't look at it and focus on the mission and what the business plan could look like in terms of we're going to become a $100 million company because we're going to get 5% of the market. I thought the top-down thinking is very flawed. It's much more important to very focus on τι χρειαζόμαστε for the next 6 to 12 months. Τι θα κάνουμε μεταξύ μας γενικά, realistically, όχι θεωρίες και bla bla bla. Τι πιστεύουμε ότι πρέπει να κάνουμε και τι δεν έχουμε στην εταιρεία, you know, where we haven't got gaps to try and find it and close off to execute on that. Γιατί τα λέω με αυτό το bottom-up thinking. Επειδή όταν κάνετε pitch για capital, right, it's a very important objective και κάτι που βλέπω εγώ σαν investors, ας πούμε γενικά, is θέλετε 250 χιλιάρικα, ας πούμε, to basically get yourself started. Αυτό που βλέπω εγώ απ' όλα είναι τι θα κάνετε με τα 250 χιλιάρικα, τι θα κάνετε και τι πιστεύετε θα βγει. What will be the success over the 6, 12, 18-month time horizon. Και άμα δεν μπορείτε να πείτε τι είναι αυτό, you're not focused enough, right? Είναι βασικά, right? So that's from a startup founder's point of view. The other thing is just, I mean, just, yeah, focus, and work closely as a team. And the other thing is solve real problems, right? Solve some real problems in the world. A lot of things I see in Greece is where there's a lot of copycat companies that do really well, but they're not startups for me. So this is a whole other discussion around the definition of a startup. But now from an investment side, it's very much to actually recognize that startups are not small businesses. Okay. Το ξέρω ότι είναι λίγο sexy να γίνετε startup investors, αυτοί που θέλετε να γίνετε. I don't know if that's politically correct nowadays, but I said it. It's important to recognize that you will lose all your money. And you're not basically investing in buying a cafe or a laundromat business or whatever. You're investing in a big experiment that might work, and more than 8 times out of 10, it's not going to work. That's δουλέψει.
And they are thinking, why you invest then? That's what they
Why
say.
invest? And this is what I was going to say next, which is when you're investing in startups, you need to be investing with a portfolio mentality that I'm going to invest in 8 or 10 or 12. Και θα κάνω deploy, ας πούμε έχεις 100.000, ας πούμε έχεις 50.000 να κάνει invest, right? Δεν θα τα βάλεις όλα τα 50 σε μια ή τα 25 σε 2. Πρέπει να κάνεις portfolio thinking, right? Και πρέπει να κάνεις deploy 5 με 10.000 σε μια εταιρεία. Και θα το κάνεις αυτό 8 με 12 φορές γενικά, να κάνεις distribute το ρίσκο σου, γιατί είναι high risk, right? Και αυτά είναι βασικά που πρέπει να... This has to be learned, right? Learned. Και με αυτή την πνεύμη, προσπαθώ να κάνω στα ελληνικά όσο μπορώ, right? So, με αυτό το πνεύμα, with this strategic approach, you have to think about startup startup angel investment, basically.
Super. Thank you very much. We can keep you here a week, talking. Thank you very much, all of you that you came tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.